For October the 6th, 2017, we talk about We Happy Few, the Atari Box, and we ask you about your feel-good games. Welcome to Level 215. My name is Cole Ross.
My name's David Maismith.
I'm Jala Prendez.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. And
It's for people, all right.
Yep. You know, they're throwing in a Paul Harvey-esque pause every once in a while.
Also for self-aware robots.
I need to close this window. I had the Washington Post front page open, not because the terrible stuff is distracting, but because they have a tower ad. They have an ad on there for something called a life-changing Pizookie.
What is that?
Pizookie. It's from a restaurant called BJ's Brew House Restaurant. With the pizza and stuff.
I've been there before. Yeah.
It's like a couple of notches above like an Applebee's or something like that.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah.
Soon, fine.
Way to aim high.
Yeah, it's sort of like deep dish pizza and stuff like that. And this appears to be some kind of pizza-sized cookie with ice cream on top of it, which just seems logistically unsound to me. Because that ice cream is just going to melt and then saturate the cookie by the time you can eat it.
Yeah.
Unless it's served on some sort of like plate made out of ice or something.
I think that they have mini Pizookies because I seem to remember before I was vegan, that was like a while back, I had gone there and then like whoever I was with and I just kind of like splurged and we're like, I kind of want a dessert. Let's split this mini Pizookie thing. And it was like a little thing. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. Yeah, right. I don't know.
A Pizzucchini.
So, yeah. God.
This doesn't translate well on a podcast, but I'm just frowning right now. The idea of a Pizookie.
I mean, whatever. Like a cookie sundae is totally a thing. I just the branding on that it just isn't. It's a very unpleasant sounding name.
Yeah, it's really not the best.
Very unwise.
I still want to invent hot sauce flavored ice cream.
I'm positive that exists. Hot chili ice cream. Although the vinegar would probably have a deleterious effect on the consistency of the product.
I've
had curry flavored ice cream before, but it actually tastes really good because, like the plain vanilla-ish flavored, like in my case, coconut ice cream with the curry, especially the coconut, type of ice cream with the curry. Coconut curry is a thing, so it turns out really well. I do
not like the coconut curry.
But that's fine. You don't have to.
We are distracted from the real from the real issue here, the real time reporting, Jala, that you're offering as to what's going on in the Slack.
I totally have an awesome story. This is the best banter that you're ever going to get, especially at the beginning of October, which is spooky. Oh, yeah. So I was
Pizookie.
chatting.
It's pumpkin spice.
Yeah. So I was chatting with listener Paul in the Ducks Making Stuffs channel, which is for all the people who make stuff, whatever, podcasts or artwork or whatever, or writing, whatnot. And he's a fellow art duck over in Austin. And I talked him into doing Sketchtember and Inktober with me. Mm-hmm. Well, he has a Roomba, and he's been getting into art again because of my evil influence. And his Roomba has been summoning demons in his house. It picked up a piece of graphite that he had apparently dropped on the floor in the middle of doing stuff and dragged it around and made all these arcane symbols on his floor, and he took pictures and showed it. And it gets better because after it was starting to try to like create magic circles to summon demons, then he thought the best thing to do would be to collaborate with it. And so he taped down some paper onto the floor, like a large piece of paper, let the Roomba go around on it, and then he pulled the paper up and then like did some drawing on top of what the Roomba was doing.
Like he shaded in some of the areas where like it would have like crossed over and made a polygon, right?
Yeah. And so it's even better because Paul and I are talking about doing some collaborative random pieces, mailing them back and forth and everything. And we were just talking about it when his Roomba started doing this. So he's like, hey, might as well collaborate with everybody, including the Roomba.
Yeah, the Roomba lives here too. I feed him my skin cells.
So for like demon Roombas, what do you do for that? Do you sage them? Like maybe like crumble up some sage for them to vacuum up?
I wouldn't get too fancy. You don't need to go too fresh. Just like buy some McCormick sage from the grocery store and sprinkle that in a path that leads to your doorway to hell, so it goes back.
What oil do you need to put on your sword to kill it?
Well, here's a question though. So, Kole, what are you going to do for your googly-eyed Roomba to step it up? Because Paul's Roomba just one-upped your Roomba.
So, I don't want to actually do anything that is going to cause some kind of mess, right? So, the genre of, hey, looked at the fucked up thing my Roomba did to my floor is definitely a thing online. I think most notably about a year back, there was that couple that went away and they came back and found their entire apartment crisscrossed with dog shit.
Wow.
Because their dog, it was just their dog shit on their floor, and then it started being tracked around. Like I could see like getting a really cool effect by doing like an ink block kind of thing with its wheels and some paint, because its wheels are they've got like a little tread pattern. That would be an obvious way to go about this. However, I live in an apartment with a security deposit, so there's only so much that I can do.
Yeah, you have to have like a tarp. You have to have like a little kitty gate.
Right.
You've got to lay down some paper for it.
Yeah. So what I think might actually be worth doing is clearing out a room and setting up some kind of long exposure photography or time lapse, and putting like a very bright LED or some kind of glowing element on the top of the Roomba. And then just like capture a whole run like over the course of a day or like during the night when the room is really dark.
Interesting.
And then take whatever like light pattern is there and then process that in Photoshop. Right. I just don't have I'd have to. It would
be a lot of involved time to do all that stuff. Yeah.
So
I like how you had thought out an answer and everything. Like,
no, that was
just you were ready for it.
That was on the spot. I was just like, my aversion to losing my security deposit is so high that I. Yeah. you know what they say. Cheapness is the mother of invention. So that would be what I would do, but I don't know how to do long exposure photography, and I don't have the specialized equipment necessary to do it. So basically
telling me no.
As of right now.
But like the long roundabout way, you Roomba'd your way to that answer.
Yep.
I feel like you just need to do like the 622 of Roomba art. Just be like, oh, my Roomba didn't jack up my floor, and that's a statement on like the current state of technology.
You mean the 433?
Or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Some number.
The John Cage composition. Yeah, I definitely Roomba'd my way around that answer, which is I explored the edges, fucked around in the middle, and then went into a different room.
Pretty much.
So,
if you were the knockoff version that my parents have, which is Herkimer, if you were a Herkimer, you would get stuck on the rug. So...
Oh man, I need to get more of those little post things that you use to keep them out of places, because my little guy's got a big habit of getting in places where he shouldn't be and getting stuck. It's a little bit like my Roomba is a little bit like having my own Curious George. I have to end up rescuing him from the moon and shit.
You just need to get yourself some of that there deep learning.
Yep. They do remarkably. They accomplish a lot with some very simple logic in these Roombas. I really like these. This podcast brought to you by BJ's Brewhouse and Roombas.
Do not combine.
No. It'll ruin both your pizza and your Roomba. But yes, thank you for bringing this to my attention because this is good and fun.
It really made my day. I was just like, okay, brief break from work. I look at my phone, I pull up Slack, and then Paul's like, my Roomba is drawing arcane symbols on my floor. I'm like, okay. Why is it summoning demons? I mean, I know it's October, but damn,
Oh, it got the call.
Yeah.
So, Ben, how about you? What's going on?
I think my big news was over the weekend I got to visit with some friends in Colorado, and so we got to go hiking and hang out, and it was really nice. So
Cool.
It's college roommates and stuff. So
Nice.
yeah.
What part of Colorado?
One of my friends lives in Colorado Springs, and
Okay.
then we went to like the west side of the state. There's like a bunch of mountains, and like we stayed in a friend of a friend's cabin, which had like a bunch of like animals that they killed like hung around all the walls, which was interesting, kind of
Little
culture
spooky.
shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had like a rifle hanging up on the wall and stuff, but it was fun.
Okay, so here's my question: was it introduced in the first act and then used in the third?
It was not. We talked about it very briefly in the first act, never came up again, thankfully.
Okay, good.
But
Well, you did break a couple of rules of literature, but I'll let it slide.
the setting felt very similar to the Hateful Eight, though. It was,
Jeez.
you could see everybody in a single shot at any given time. So, yeah.
David, how about you?
So my kind of weird thing that happened to me this week was looking at a database that had for just kind of recording people who had signed up for a site, and it had the general like drop down of like, oh, choose whichever of these careers is closest to what you do. But they had apparently like their pre-populated options, they had apparently just gotten them from a database or something without ever reading through them.
So ceramic inspector. Yeah.
Oh no. We're talking three of them were spy, professional dominant, and slaver.
I was about to say spy, professional dominant. Those could be, those are things. Slaver. Yeah, I can't make a joke out of that.
No.
Huh. Yeah, well, that's pretty funny. Like, what did you do? Did that call for an audit of the entire thing, or did you pull from a different standardized list of occupations?
I think I'm not sure what we did actually.
We just left it. You just did. That could be a good like a honeypot. Like you could trap all the people who would select that.
There you go. Select this, and it immediately dials the FBI.
Yep. Beep, 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 beep. Hold, please. Yeah. What's like the JavaScript code that you have to throw so that the user sees? Please stay where you are with your hands above your head.
I think that's. Nah, I've got nothing on this one.
That's fine.
Well, I've got nothing that's not more political that I want to go on this show.
Right. Sometimes you just you just accept the foul ball. That's fine.
Yep,
it's fine. Not the foul ball, accept the ball. There we are. Yeah. Aside from not knowing baseball terms, I've had I don't know that I have this past week has just been a bunch of work and a bunch of watching the news and being afraid kind of stuff. So yeah. Why don't go ahead?
I was gonna say, on an uplifting note, I talked to one of my friends in Vegas, and he said that the donation lines for like blood were like 6 to 8 hours long. So that's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because Cole, you can't just like end it on some damn it.
No, I've got just like I had a story of like I've got contacts in right now because I went to the optometrist today, and I was going to go into this whole thing about how isn't it strange that insurance covers contacts more than they cover glasses and blah blah blah, and get these. I don't like wearing contacts, but I've got them and they feel weird. It's been since high school, but that's not a story. Hi, I'm wearing contacts.
It's a story now.
Like I'm actually the absolute opposite. Like I don't really like wearing my glasses. I prefer my contacts.
The thing about contacts
glasses get in my damn way all the time. They bother me.
Yeah. It's a vanity thing more than okay. Also, I got a lot of eye infections when I wore contacts. So I'm switching to dailies, and I cleaned them all the time. I clean them fastidiously. Switching to dailies now. No, it's more of a vanity thing. I don't like the way my face looks without glasses. Like glasses are just part of my face now, so it's hard to.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
See, I have a strict policy of I practice martial arts the way I dress, and it's difficult to wear glasses while practicing martial arts, so I don't wear them either.
Yeah.
My stance on glasses is it protects you if something was going to fly in your eye, so I'm pro glasses.
You're so right.
Here's the thing for me, like if I'm running around and bouncing around and doing all this, Spartan and whatever, like, glasses are just going to get broken.
Mm-hmm.
That is all that's going to happen. Or they're going to fog up at the most inconvenient fucking times. And it's like, no, I live in a very hot place where people run the AC very cold.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when it's cool, people run the heat very high because they do not like cold because they have no tolerance.
Little tornadoes are taking place all the time on the thresholds of houses.
Yeah, basically. So like it's more inconvenient to have glasses on my face than not. It's better to just have one. So everybody, to each their own.
For sure,
it is fine.
Yeah.
And I have learned today that they are welded to Cole's face.
Yep. They're sewn on like a very cheap teddy bear that you can't customize.
The skin is just growing around the frames now.
Yep.
Oh boy, that is some horror. That is some that really wow. That image is pretty creepy.
Yeah,
why isn't that in a horror game? Is it in a horror game?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Somebody tell me about it. I need to know.
Some Cronenberg style stuff. I'm sure it's part of a monster design to have like goggles that are fused to somebody's face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stalker has that if you count gas masks.
Oh yeah, well the gas mask being fused to somebody's face, like that's a little bit different for some reason. Yeah. It doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
I guess because like you don't see the skin of the face and the structure of the face, So yeah. That ended up being some banter. Damn it, we need to do the show.
Let's do the show. We've got the usual kind of show for you today. The brief, the multiplayer, and the grind. And why don't we get started with the brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Most of our stories have to do with some old ass stuff. So, Jala, I'm going to throw to you. What's up with this Atari thing?
So, the Atari Box. Remember how we were talking about, the Atari Box is going to be a thing and it's going to have, whatever old games on it, just like all the other retro, mini consoles that are coming out. Well, this one's a little bit different. The video that I had seen back then also did show wood paneling on the side of this thing, and that is legit. It is going to have a retro style body encased in real wood, probably processed MDF, but whatever. Right. And apparently it's going to run on a Linux-based OS and promises full PC usage, such as streaming, apps, social media, web browsing, music, etc. The Atari Box, okay, this is a quote from the general manager. Atari Box is an open system, and while our user interface will be easy to use, people will also be free to access and customize the underlying OS. It will come preloaded. Yeah, it is. And it's going to be preloaded with Atari games, but will also be able to handle current gen games. So you can play new shit and old shit, like really old shit.
Yeah.
But nothing in between.
Basically. Then again, I don't know. If you can throw an emulator on there, then yeah, you could play anything in between too.
Yeah.
The cost is supposed to be between $250 or $300, so it's about the same. It's going to be the same price bracket as basically an Xbox One or a PS4. So another weird thing about it, because this is such a strange thing overall, is that it's foregoing the usual development process. They are being made available first via Indiegogo, and that campaign is going to be going live by the end of the fall, and the console is supposed to launch sometime in spring 2018. According to that GM guy, Atari decided to sell first via Indiegogo because that platform has a presence in over 200 different countries, so it allows for a broader reach. I think the last time I talked about the Atari Box, I also was mentioning that Atari had like gone bankrupt, and so it was like pimping out its title to like everything to just basically try to make some money. So I mean, the fact that they're crowdfunding for this, it makes sense for them because they don't have the financial the financial assets available to them without having some kind of major pre-order presence.
Right.
So what I don't get about this is what, like, so it's going to be able to play like all of those current gen games that have come out for Linux.
I don't know.
I could see like if this could be like theoretically there, you could read between the lines and argue this is like they're technically saying we're going to sell you a current gen PC for $300, which would be an amazing deal, except that like none of the games are actually for that OS.
Yeah. And we also don't know what any of the specs of this thing are going to be, so it's very hard to know what kind of value that is. And this seems like a very confused product overall, because if I'm looking at this thing or hearing about it, I think, another $50 to $80 box that will play these old games. No, this actually costs. It's a car payment.
Yeah.
But it's made with real wood, Cole.
Yeah. I've got a store where you can buy some wood if you want. And I'm, it's called Home Depot or Lowe's.
So, and I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see, because like, has there been any talk of like developer partnerships? Because I don't see like the Atari library. If they're talking about like actual Atari the system as opposed to like when Atari was doing third party, I don't see that having virtually any draw.
Right.
Well, remember when I had listed, like when I first posted about the Atari Box, there was a list of games, and like a lot of them, I didn't even know what the hell they were. Cole and I were reading them out, and we're like, what is this? So, I mean, it sounds like it's probably the really old games. So that's what confuses me. That's why I brought this up, because I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What are they doing? I don't even know what this is about. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens to it. I don't really think it's going to do very much because it's too confused.
The other thing is, if you think about it, like if this is being pitched as basically Linux system with an Atari emulator, like I could probably build that in an afternoon.
Right. Well, I mean, you could do it with a Raspberry Pi in like 30 minutes. It's not a big deal to do that. I don't know. I'm waiting for like at one point for a YouTube video of this thing to pop up and have somebody like pull a sticker off the box and say, haha, tricked ya, it's Ouya too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, was the Ouya. And I was like, this sounds like it's going to be going that way. Whatever happened to it anyway? I don't even know.
See, I'm almost wondering if this is like the console equivalent of shovelware. Like they just like, if this literally is like, hey, we realized we could take a Raspberry Pi, make something that sounds like it's a legitimate console, charge $300, and maybe parents will accidentally buy it for their kids.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the appeal. I don't know the appeal.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know what their target audience is. I mean, assuming people who know the original Atari games, which are going to be like, I played some Atari, but I don't remember it quite as well as some of the other people, that are older than me. So, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe for the older folks, this has some kind of appeal. I don't know.
Banking on the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, the nostalgia factor for the older people, I guess. I don't know.
But like, how old would you have to be for that?
Well, and then like, why would they make it play current gen games? I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah, that seems like a small cross section, like people who need a computer and also are really fond of Atari.
Yeah.
Need a computer, are fond of Atari, but also are not aware enough of the other options that they might have for
Yeah.
for this particular
and
thing.
can drop like a fair amount of money.
Right. So you would have been 17 when the Atari came out if you were born around 1960. So you would be about 57 now, and probably either financially stable or anticipating retirement and not having that was Dark Ben.
Sorry.
Not having any time or money for this.
Well, and I kind of wonder, like, I'd be interested to see the demographics. It seems to me like most, at least if I was going to stereotype people in their 50s that cared about video games, they would generally be on the more geeky side, in which case, like, they probably don't need this.
Yeah.
They probably play MMOs all day. Like I know some older people who they just play MMOs like all the time. They might be retired and then they'll just like play MMOs on their computer and that's how they stay mentally sharp. So I mean like
my conception is that anybody over the age of 40 just spends all day doing taxes in church. So let's see. David, you got a story?
Yeah, so speaking of MMOs to keep your mind sharp, there was a study by the world's most impronounceable university. Let me pull this up so that I can do it justice. The Ruhr Universität Bochum.
Okay.
It's awesome because it's got heavy metal umlauts. So basically, they did a study where they took people that self-described as playing action video games on a computer or a console for more than 15 hours a week, and compared them to people that were not regular gamers, and basically had them do what's apparently a standard test of learning.
Oh,
which
hey David, we've done this one before.
Have we?
Yeah.
Have I done this one before?
Maybe. Yeah.
I did not know that we had done this before, so
yeah,
snuck it by me
I
at least.
feel like on the plus side, we are failing to reproduce their results right now.
because it had something to do with the way that they conceptualize the space that they move through, also related to their ability. This is a different one. Okay, well, fuck me then. Yeah, no, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be.
So basically, in this one, apparently they would show a series of cards. I think three cards that would have different symbols, and the person would have to guess whether it would be sunny or rainy, and they'd be told whether they were right or not. And basically the idea is, there's some rules, but the person's never told that. And so they go through a certain number of repetitions, and then they take a test where, they are given these, symbols and have to write down, what it's going to be, basically to see how fast they can learn the rules of the system.
Yeah, just pattern recognition. Yeah,
exactly. And the interesting thing is that the people who played, were gamers, scored particularly higher, and scored higher, and in particular scored higher on more ambiguous. On the more ambiguous questions. So I guess like some questions it would maybe be like, all of the cards, showed that it was going to be rain, so that'd be fairly obvious. But then another one maybe like only two of them were, so it's not as obvious as a thing.
So the people who play games were better able to extrapolate a rule set from an incomplete.
Right, exactly.
Or diminished kind of seed. Okay.
Right. And they also, I guess, did a study, looked at the brain activation and found that there was increased activity in the hippocampus, which apparently has to do with learning and memory.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Play games. They're like vitamins.
Exactly.
At least until the next study comes out.
Right.
I do think there's something said about video games where I feel like there's a lot of like implicit concepts that are being conveyed with just like things like a GUI or something, or like something filling up a meter or whatever. Like there's a lot of like logic going on in those types of things that like I don't know, just like watching that sort of thing. I don't know if people like implicitly learn things or subconsciously learn things from them, but I don't know. There's a lot of work and a lot of intelligence that goes into games, so it would be cool if that translated just by playing it.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of like learning how to learn, especially on something that kind of like you said, Cole, is to a significant degree like pattern recognition. That seems plausible, and
yeah, I'm curious because that is one particular task and one particular kind of intelligence that they're looking at. One particular aptitude.
Sure.
I would love to see like a suite of tests that would bring back kind of like a more multi-dimensional picture, because I mean, is it a surprise or is it a secret that games rely on patterns?
Yeah, what if you like have people play LA Noire and then see if they become more interpersonally intelligent when they talk to people?
Yeah, I mean, like there's so much of playing an action-based game, and think about Dark Souls. Again, dang, bingo card, whatever. Most of what you're doing in a boss fight there, and to a certain degree, the regular fights, is anticipating what move is going to come next and trying to goad them into particular behaviors, based on where you're at or what move they just did, etc. And that is not specific just to Dark Souls. It just happens to be the closest, the best example I could find right now.
Yeah, I think the study of LA Noire, they'd find that it would increase your interpersonal intelligence, but had a unfortunate side effect that every so often you just flip out on someone.
Yep, just occasionally you yell. Yeah. Huh. What was the name of that university again, David?
We're Universitat Bochum.
What country is that in?
It's in Germany. I looked it up. It's between Essen and Dortmund, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, there we go.
DE. How do you get DE from Germany?
Deutschland?
Yep.
Why don't we call it Deutschland?
No.
It's a weird thing. We'd have to learn other people's like languages and pronunciations. And I guess everybody on Earth decided they were too lazy to do that.
Yeah, I think about that a lot because I've got globes and I've got maps in most of the places where I am a lot of the time. And I often look and I just think, we named that river, but the people who live around that, they've got a name for that. And we're just kind of being dicks by insisting it's called that.
I think I've said this before, but my favorite is still China.
Yeah, totally not the thing.
Well, yeah, because the China as a name for pottery came first.
Mm-hmm.
And we named them after that.
Yep. Yeah, man. I don't know. I was about ready to go on like this whole weird thing there. But I will move us on. Ben, you've got something a little bit more current that I want to...
Yeah, talking about the Nintendo Switch. How current? Yeah. I noticed I think it happened just within the last week or so, but the price of Nintendo Switch on Amazon dropped down to $300. They also announced that they're doing a bundle of Nintendo Switch and Super Mario Odyssey for $380 on Amazon, which is a little bit weird because if you buy them separately, it's $360.
The Odyssey version comes with a pretty cool carrying case as well.
Okay, so that's where the $20 is going. I think it's skinned up as well for Mario.
Yeah, it's got red Joy-Cons, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Yep.
So people have options for those if that's like within their price range, since it's a little bit cheaper. I don't know. One thing that's kind of interesting too is I believe that it's only being sold through Amazon Prime. When I was trying to find articles for this, because I found out about it not through an article, just a word of mouth, but I found one article back from May where it was mentioning that they were originally selling Nintendo Switches only to Prime members of the original stock. I'm not sure if
it would
it's
be like Prime Now, and it depended on region more than anything. So like you would go to the Prime Now site for your location, and then you would have to pay extra to have somebody like drive it out to your house within the next 2 hours.
weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about any of that, but for those of
I really dislike the name Joy-Con. That's just such a dumb name.
I mean, it's kind of dumb that they missed the opportunity to call the remotes on the Wii the Wiimote.
That's not what they're called?
No, they're just Wii remotes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I think they noticed that they had missed that opportunity, and they decided never again. Yeah. So this is noteworthy because people remember from around the time the Switch came out, that the scarcity of the product had caused all these scalpers to pop up on Amazon, either selling them for way above MSRP, which is $300. It may seem weird that we're talking about, this site is selling these at MSRP, but like that hasn't been the case for 6 months.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was like around $400 to get a Switch.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And then you had certain scammers who would be like, yeah, I'm going to sell this Nintendo Switch for $180. And then it just wouldn't. It'd just be like a straight up scam. Like their marketplace is kind of a shambles. But it's good that more people can get a Switch. It's a great system. And I like most of my grind this week is going to be talking about Switch stuff. So
Surprise.
Oh man. Yeah. Anything else about the about the Switch finally getting a little bit of saturation?
that's all I got.
Yeah. My story here is something that I saw on a news site that also linked to a YouTube video. This is talking way back about the development process for Sonic 3D Blast for the Sega Genesis. So this is kind of like a special interest thing. Like, remember, David, when you did the article about how they achieved the blood splatter effect in Wolfenstein?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a little something like that. So the developer of Sonic 3D Blast, at Traveler Tales, John Burt, made this video explaining why if you messed with, like, either hit or wiggled the Genesis cartridge while it was in the system while it was playing, you unlocked a level select menu. Like, you would just get this blue screen with text that says, "Congratulations, you have found the secret level select." And he explains what he did, which is basically anything that they did that had to go through Sega Genesis certification. Sega was really invested in these games never ever crashing. They would leave them running for, days and days at a time just to see if they would crash, encounter an error, lock up, any of this stuff. And if they didn't, Sega would send it back, and you have to go through the multi-week process again. So what this developer did was went through and wrote his own debugging messages for common stuff like, "Oh, you tried to divide by 0 here. That's a bad idea." And when it was time to print this thing and send it out for cert, what he would do was just like make a random thing happen in the game. So for like a Mickey game, it would throw up a message that, like, okay, it would crash, throw up a message and say, "Hey, Mickey found a secret time warp and he went back a level. Oops, you're back a level." And that's how they would get past, because technically it didn't crash. It found an exception and then just did this random thing. And he he decided to, for Sonic 3D Blast, to just like kind of facetiously put in, "Hey, this is the way that you get this menu," saying, "All right, well, it's just unlikely this is going to happen, and it'll just happen at random." And then everybody figured out that the cheat code for this game is just to wiggle the cartridge, because that broke the contacts. It broke contact with the system, caused the glitch, and then brought it out.
See, I just assumed that he knew that, punching something was the natural response to a Sonic game.
I see that you're having trouble with this level. Would you like? But I also love this because it's unintentionally kind of a troll of kids who might have been playing this back in the day when they would be talking about it on the playground or whatever. Like, yeah, I was just running through this level, and my kid brother just ran through the room and knocked into my Genesis, and I think maybe I was pressing up and C at the same time, and yeah, I got the level select. So that's totally what you should do, and I can't reproduce it because we have no way of knowing this. Like, that is such like a ramshackle way to get around cert. But I was watching this like just rapt and fascinated, not just because it had been forever since I thought about Sonic 3D Blast.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, as a developer, QA is your mortal enemy, unless the person listening to this show is a potential interview, in which case I definitely always test all of my code.
Yep. I don't know. I just thought it was good.
Since you've been playing Sonic Mania and whatever, and more recent history, I doubt it's really been that long since you thought about Sonic 3D Blast.
You're right.
Still waiting for the sequel, Sonic Depression.
That's been the past 20 years.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, what's the question that you asked the nice people?
I asked, so games can make people feel better and comfort them, or otherwise distract them from the bad things going on in the world. So what is your go-to feel-good game? And this question came to us via Michael P. So thank you, Michael.
And you have a delightful picture here of what appears to be promotional art from the Misadventures of Tron Bon, distinct from the Misadventures.
Spoiler, I actually I've never played that game before. I only played a smidge of Mega Man Legends. I have both of them on my Vita, and because I feel like trash, there's a bad thing that happened recently and I feel like trash, so I just wanted to play something completely random, and I just did not feel like Mega Man Legends for whatever reason, but I loaded up Misadventures of Tron Bon, so I've been playing a little bit of that, although I'm not going to talk about that in the grind because I've only played a smidge.
Yeah.
So, but it's very cute.
It is. That is that game's primary asset, and it takes it a good ways. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's hear. So Greg starts us off by saying, depends on what kind of mood. If I just had a long day at work and I'm tired, I'll usually play an old-fashioned RPG, as there is satisfaction in watching numbers go up and making progress in a productive way. If I'm depressed, I'll play a comfort game from my past that I really love and associate with happy memories, or that I associate happy memories with, like Miss Pac-Man or ActRaiser. If I'm upset or angry, I will play a violent game where I can vent or win against great odds, like Contra and Madden. In case anyone asks about Madden, you try winning the Super Bowl as the Cleveland Browns. Yep, you can't do it.
You're committed to realism in that game.
Yeah, you select the Browns, and then they just have the fans throw beer bottles at you.
Oh. Yeah, there's just a guy on a trombone just wah, 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 wah.
The stadium plays Charlie Brown music the entire time.
Not even the sad one. They couldn't afford the rights, so it's just... so it's from, like, it's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. Not even any of the good ones. David, what does Sam say?
Sam says, it changes frequently, but if I had to choose, I'd say the Disgaea series. It's an endless series of repetitive tasks wrapped up in a setting that absolutely takes nothing seriously. Old Mario and Sonic's games I've played through 100 times already are also good in a situation.
Yeah. There's a certain comfort in, like, falling back on the thing that you have, like, the muscle memory for, where you can basically almost play it blindfolded.
Yeah.
Because you know it so well.
Yeah. At least the early Disgaea games that I played, it was very easy to get back into the same encounter that you had done before. And there was a great deal of satisfaction to be found in just kind of setting up a stomp box almost. Like, okay, I'm going to optimize beating this encounter in the least number of moves. And you could totally do it in Disgaea because you had those colored tiles that you would stand on that like maximize certain effects and did combos and stuff.
And was this like theoretically for power leveling or?
Yeah. There were certain stages that you would like. It was built in. Like, yep, go here to power level.
Is that the one where like you can like take like every character to level 900 billion or whatever?
Yeah, you can get up to just under 10,000. And you can even bring your items to that level as well. Yeah.
Wasn't that a thing that Michael P. actually did? Wasn't that one of the things he talked about when we were discussing grinding a while back?
I'm positive. Yeah, I remember that. I remember somebody said that. It might as well be Michael. But yeah.
It might as well be. Okay.
Yeah. Ben, what does Chase say?
Chase says, Stardew Valley has been a recent refuge for gloomy days. That said, when I really need to ride a dungeon train for a while, nothing hits the spot like an MMO in the vein of World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2.
Good dungeon train reference, man.
What's a dungeon train?
Dungeon Train is a really good episode of Adventure Time. It's after Jake has gotten some like just bad news. Like he decides to go to go to this thing called the Dungeon Train, which is just a big train that goes in circles.
Mm-hmm.
And each new car just has new little goblins or doodads for him to slay. And like he gets Finn to go along with him, and like Finn's like, hey man, like we just keep going in circles on this thing, and like it doesn't seem to be getting any better. And the whole thing ends up being this weird metaphor for just like sometimes you need to go and play an MMO or like Diablo. Like it's explicitly Diablo for a while until you feel better. And like it even ends with like, all right, well Finn, if you're not into this, you go have fun. I just need to get this out of my system. I'll be gone a while, but I'll be back. See ya.
Yeah.
It's like weirdly super sweet.
Adventure Time's so good.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
I really need to watch that.
Yeah. I dropped off after like season 5, and not for any particular reason. Now that it's ending, I just need to do like a big series rewatch. But yeah, MMOs, like Guild Wars 2 is Jala. Is Chase one of the people who plays that with you all?
I do not believe he has played with us in a very long time. If he played with us at all ever, I don't remember if he has, to be honest. But it hasn't been in recent memory if he did.
Let's see. Jala, what does Kyle say via Jason?
Kyle says, I don't normally play them that much, but after the gut punch that was the Trump election, I got really deep into Nihon Falcom games, especially Trails in the Sky and Ys 8. The bright colors and cooperative characters made me feel a little better about life.
Yeah.
So, I'm not familiar with these games. What are they, more or less?
Like action RPGs. I don't know about Trails in the Sky, but Ys is like it was Sega CD or Sega Saturn initially. It might have even been earlier, so forgive my ignorance. But it's like an answer to Zelda almost a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And Trails in the Sky, sorry. I don't know. But Falcom is a well-regarded developer.
Nice.
Yep, Trump's election did a number on me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, so I'm very sorry. But Auntie or Auntie says, I still like the original Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's not multiplayer, but I do remember my brother and I having a lot of fun together to reach each park's goal. Fuck yeah, management games rule for this stuff.
I'll take a swing.
Except if you suck at management.
Okay.
Then it's depressing.
What were you gonna say, Ben?
No. Then it just becomes like how much destruction can I cause?
Yep.
There you go.
I think it might be pronounced Antja or something like that. Maybe.
Antja? Okay.
That's a total guess. But.
Yes. Yeah. Correct us next time if you're not too offended by our pronunciation to write in again.
I should know. I have a lot of German in me. I should know that.
Yeah. No, Roller Coaster Tycoon is very good, and they just released like a weird updated collection of 1 and 2. I don't know. Let's see, David. What does Michael say?
Michael says, I'm going to second a vote for Stardew Valley. The game's delightful sounds and wholesome townfolk lift my heart in dark times.
Man, Stardew Valley comes out on the Switch on Thursday, and I'm so scared.
What is the premise of the game? Like, what's the goal?
It's Harvest Moon is what it is. It's what if Harvest Moon was developed today but didn't have all of the weird kind of cruft of something like the more recent or modern Harvest Moons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So, but the fact that it's going to be on a portable is just going to be devastating, I think. Let's see. Ben, I skipped Stuart. What did Stuart say?
Stuart said, rock band drums, hard rock hallelujah. I just feel so good after rocking through that song.
A specific song even.
Cool.
Man, I really regret moving to a second floor apartment.
Is your neighbor cool?
I mean, he wouldn't be for long after that.
Fair.
Yeah.
Save it for the week you move out, I guess, if that ever happens.
All of my downstairs neighbors have been sweethearts, so it's very hard to imagine being in a position where I would want to inflict that on them.
Yeah, you get, well, people get used to it eventually.
Or they move.
Yeah, I literally live next to, like, share a wall with a live music venue, so I can now sleep through anything.
Oh, Jala, what does Davey say?
Davey says, put me down as another one for Stardew Valley. It's the right combination of endless tasks and bright joyfulness to get through blue times. Even the music is pure cheer.
Yeah, I've not played a lot of Stardew Valley, but I still listen to the soundtrack. So,
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Jonathan says, any game, really. I'm not picky. My job is mindless enough for me to work out my feelings. The previous statement about music also applies. Yeah. I don't know that I have an awful lot to add to that. David, what does Swan say?
One says, if I need something to simply lift my spirits, I go with Resident Evil 4 on my PS4/3. A game I've beaten many times, but always finds a way to pull me out of a rut with its ridiculous dialogue and humor. If I'm having one of those existential crisis kinds of days, or work-related bad days, I usually just play a few Binding of Isaac runs. On bad days, I don't want to invest any time, quote-unquote, in quotes because Isaac is a time-sucking black hole and everyone knows it, into a specific game, but Isaac's different in that I can tune out and exercise mastery or over whatever the random number generator throws at me, fooling myself into thinking I can do the same with whatever got me down in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, good answer.
Resident Evil 4, so you are either decapitating people or you are...
being decapitated.
Yep.
Bantering back and forth with a little guy in a silly outfit.
Yep, and he's got a robot that is modeled after himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel... I don't know. I feel like that's interesting.
Yeah. RE4 is delightful.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really need to get back to that. Like, that's a game I really regret never having gone very far in.
Yeah, RE4
You
is...
should.
RE4 is tremendous for this, and I think might actually be very good for this purpose because of how adaptive its difficulty is.
Okay.
It will only ever give you as much as it thinks you can handle. And if you're doing really well, it'll give you more. So it's not like it's ever too easy or too hard. You're always within a certain level of tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, what does Eric say?
Eric says, Rhythm Heaven is good, at least the minigames that aren't blistering.
Man, Rhythm Heaven is great for a cheer up.
What's obviously a rhythm game, but like is that like a Guitar Hero type thing or like a DDR type thing?
It's a rhythm game that is made by the WarioWare team.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. If that tells you, it is charming as fuck. And you're kind of playing around with little scenes or musical doodads along with a song.
I feel like I've never tried it, but I feel like actually WarioWare would probably be a good one for this sort of thing.
I mean,
now that you mention it.
I'm playing a shitload of WarioWare now to get ready for Portland, and because that's what we're covering out there.
Because okay, I thought you meant because like Portland was causing you a great deal of depression.
No. I'm very excited about Portland. No, but I've been playing a lot of it to get ready, and it is serving a good function. I think specifically because it's a bunch of little snap decisions you have to make.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's see. That was Ben on Eric. So Jala, what does Ragavan say?
Ragavan says, go to feel good game, as many people pointed out, depends on what it is that has me down. So it will usually fluctuate somewhere between Okami to Metal Gear Solid Rising, to the new Doom, or more recently Wolfenstein, wonder why. But to be honest, usually I just get some great Chinese takeout and eat my worries away.
Second that.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
I want
there is
Chinese
that.
food. Chicken fried rice all the way.
Porque no los dos. Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to eat your feelings.
Yeah, and also shoot some Nazis. Yeah. In a game, I don't want to start a debate. Let's see here. Andrew writes, I've been playing Psychonauts lately, and that game has been great for my mood. Otherwise, usually any kind of classic NES or SNES game helps me too. Man, I want that NES classic so bad. That has Kirby Dream Course on it, and I'm like getting way into golf games again. So,
Go on.
David, what does Justin say?
Justin says games that involve physical activity can be really effective because it's exercise and fun. I used to drum and rock band, and these days I get a lot of mileage at 15 minutes with Space Pirate Trainer or Gorn. Sadly, high costs and space requirements are prohibitive, so I'm embarrassed to even admit this. I thought Gorn was like that weird, like grind metal band.
I don't know.
No, I'm sorry, that's Guar.
Yeah,
never mind.
Yeah. So apparently,
I was confused for a moment.
Both Gorn and Space Pirate Trainer are they're VR games, so I could see that. Oh wow, Gorn is like you're a Viking, like a gladiator.
Yeah, a gladiator.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Neat. Oh, and the art style and that's pretty cool too.
I feel like Space Pirate Trainer is one of those games that like it's like just on your title, like I will buy your game.
You did it. Ben, what does Franz say?
Franz says, I don't have a real go-to feel-good game. My favorite games tend to be rather depressing. Soulsborne, Nier. Shovel Knight brings me an immeasurable amounts of joy, but I've only played that for about an hour. I guess my best answer is listening to the Morrowind soundtrack and reminiscing about my adventures in weird Mushroom Land. And then someone else asked him, what about Kingdom of Loathing? He said, that too, and West of Loathing.
Yep. West of Loathing would be a very good game for this. You can't play that game and not laugh.
Yeah.
West of Loathing on Steam now. My name's in it.
Also, I gotta say, listening to the Morrowind soundtrack and reminiscing about, back in the day when you played it the first time or whatever, yeah, that's a thing that I do too. So,
See, I feel like for me, that just makes me feel like I'm about to be jumped by a giant crab thing.
Oh man, I've got a lot of good memories of Morrowind.
me too.
Yeah. Jala, what does
Are
David's? Oh, I'm sorry. What?
I was gonna say, are we about expired? I guess not. Okay.
Yeah. This is going to be the last one.
Okay, so David says Destiny and now Destiny 2 are my usual go-to games to pull me out of a funk. However, when I don't want to engage in violence, even in games, I'll play Stardew Valley. Being able to lose myself in the day-to-day farm tasks can also help me let my brain reboot.
Yeah. Stardew Valley, popular. I think that's the takeaway. And I'll take that right into mine because games like Stardew Valley are very comforting to me as well. I mean, I would lump that into a management kind of thing where you are performing tasks and trying to optimize something over a long period of time. This is kind of the underpinning, not to make this like a cross promotion thing, of why I do those chill out streams on Sundays. That is not enough time to actually like make significant progress in a game, but something like Slime Rancher, which is the first person 3D version of this, is something that you can just kind of like zone out to. And I want to do a lot more with that by either doing Stardew on that or doing something like Project High Rise, which is, you know, a spiritual successor to Sim Tower, like a bunch of that, like any of those scratch a particular itch for me, which is ridiculous because it's very similar to what I do in my day to day.
But it's not actually work.
Right. So yeah, like that, Prison Architect, RimWorld, all that stuff is good. David, what do you do to help feel good? What is your feel good game?
Sure. I'm not super big into this. Probably it would be some form of grinding in general type game. Particularly, kind of lately, my go-to has been Warframe.
Right.
And I particularly like that, one, because it's just completely ridiculous, and secondly, because it has a very fluid movement and combat system, so it almost pulls in kind of some like speedrunner type of vibes.
Yeah.
So
you get into a flow.
Also the community in that is delightful.
Yeah. So you get to connect as well. Connection and flow.
Yep.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I don't know if I have like a strong one maybe, but I would say like maybe Journey or The Witness are good ones where it's just to calm you down and just relax you. Yeah, so I mean, I played Stardew Valley too, so I could see that as being an answer, so I could double down on that. But yeah. I think maybe Katamari Damacy is also another good one where that has like a lot of charm and happiness in it.
Yeah, and it's also super therapeutic to roll stuff up. I'm not saying that like a little destruction is good, but like it has a certain like I am vacuuming kind of appeal to it.
Yeah.
See, that game always creeped me out because you're just like, I know, I can't help but think of like what the fatality rate of rolling up a city would be.
I thought you were going to talk about Dad's Codpiece.
Oh, no. That's, I mean...
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Completely in support of that.
Well, it's also completely in support of him.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
I will definitely... That's a hill I will die on, that codpieces need to make a comeback.
They're so protective. It's a practical garment. Jala, write us out.
I didn't know that was such a hard line for everyone on the podcast.
I just kind of had to scrape my face off my desk. All right, so
because of that support line, is that the?
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I kind of had to think about this, and my conclusion is that open world or really strongly narrative games are what helped me through, because open world games are immersive enough that I can kind of forget for a while, and strongly narrative games pull me in, and I start to think about the stories and the characters more than what's going on. So, like, growing up, I was beyond attached to Lunar the Silver Star and Lunar Eternal Blue. When I was working full-time and going to school full-time in college, it was Morrowind, like, nonstop at whatever time of day or night. It just, that would calm me down. After my first really bad heartbreak, it was the original Guild Wars. The first time I had cancer and spinal stenosis, that was Skyrim. Post-divorce was Hakuoki. Second cancer was Irresistible's Mistakes. And recently, with the bad thing that happened this week, it's We Happy Few, which I'll talk about in my grind.
Yeah.
So lots of games. But they're all mostly open world or narrative focused. So that's the kind of thing that distracts me well enough that I can move on and deal with whatever's going on.
Nice. Yeah, well, this has been good to think about. The way games help us. Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for writing in. If you want to participate in these, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for them to go up on Tuesday afternoons. Thanks to Jala and Dennis, who tend to post those. And also thank you to the people who submit questions or give us ideas for these. In this instance, it was Michael.
The The grind.
Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past week or so. Jala, you've been away for the longest, so I want to throw it to you.
Sure. So I've got 3 things I'll talk about. First being Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions. Remember how I said I was going to beat all of the rest of Chapter 3? Well, I did it. And guess what? It was easy as fuck.
I told you to go.
I went through. You told me after I had already done my grinding. So
Right.
I mean, like, yeah, I already decided I was going to go do it. Anyway, so I went to the Castle Gate. That was easy. I went to Vigriff, and he was like, he couldn't land a hit on me, but like once. So I just walked up and bitch smacked him, and he died. And it was just like, okay, what was that? Everybody talks about, this fight being so hard, but it was real easy. I mean, granted, that was a lot because he just couldn't hit me for whatever reason, but cool.
It was also because you ground in anticipation of it too.
I ground. I'm ground. Yes.
Well, if I said grinded, it would also sound weird.
I know that. So, Bellius was easy. I just targeted Bellius, and he took out Mustadio and Ramza, but then Agrius and my summoner and my dragoon survived between using the golem summon and jumping and holy sword skills, and we just punked his ass. So, and then the
names
roof
are horrible.
Well, and then the roof was easy because my people didn't even have a chance to all go before I killed him. So I was like, okay, well, that was not a big deal. And then I had to turn it off. I stopped in the name of love because they fucking called Chapter 4 in the name of love. Did that? I just was like, nope. I'm turning this shit off. Nope.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was as much as I played Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions. I am now in Chapter 4. I'm still playing the game.
Yeah, Chapter 4 is incredibly brief. Like, Chapter 4 is just kind of the final encounters.
Good. I mean, like, it's all right, but like I'm getting bored. So
Yeah.
I want to finish it, but I'm getting bored. So like that, I'm taking my time. So it's not too much, and I don't get mad at it because I'm not mad at it.
Right.
But I'm ready to see the ending of it. So that's Final Fantasy Tactics.
Cool.
The next thing I did is I beat Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. So mission 3 is a bank job. You rob a bank.
Oh shit.
Mission 4 is this conservatory. Hey, does anyone know what's happening in Narsh? Because that fucking Royal Conservatory from, I believe it was the Bridgemore Rich Witches DLC from the first game, comes back. It's recycled, but like it's different. I mean, they changed some stuff about it, but like you end up going back there. I really would have preferred if they were going to recycle a level that they would have done like the Clockwork Mansion from 2 or something. That would have been badass.
Mm-hmm.
But well, that was like a missed opportunity because they really could have done something cool with that. But oh well, whatever.
Yeah.
And then mission 5 is the one where you go into the void and stuff.
Yeah.
So some comments about it. I mean, like, it's obviously more Dishonored. There's some buggy shit, and I don't know if it's just the PC version or if it's just like overall this game. There were some parts where people would get stuck in walls, or like the graphics didn't line up quite right, and I'm like, this is kind of janky. Like, kind of like a rush job. It kind of felt like. I mean, I didn't really see that happen in the beginning part of the game, but the ending part of the game, it kind of started getting a little buggy. Not too much to the point that like I couldn't play it, or it was like, distracting or anything, but every once in a while I just notice something and go, this is weird. Normally these games are pretty polished.
Right.
But the characters of Dowd and Billy kind of fade a little bit. They're not as pronounced. There's not that much done with them through like the middle portion of the game until the very end, and that's when they kind of come full circle. And I don't want to say too much about it, obviously, because I don't want to spoil it, but the Outsider's character is not compromised, and I like the way that I did the low chaos ending, and I like the way that resolved, and so I was satisfied with that. The thing about it, though, is that the low chaos ending, it seemed like basically it didn't matter what all you did throughout the rest of the game. You have one choice at the end of the game, and you can just, in a dialogue box, pick what option you go for, and then that kind of determines whether or not you have a high or low chaos ending.
Right.
So it's not as, I mean, like I know that there are, like I don't know how much the chaos level actually influences any of the levels beforehand. I didn't really notice an appreciable difference because there isn't a rat plague that you can see because the rat plague's kind of gone on. There aren't any blood flies. So, you know, I didn't notice anything, you know, amiss or particularly more challenging when I was extra violent or not.
Right,
So,
right. That's
so
weird.
I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know about that. You end up getting more powers as the game goes on. And you do get the ability to craft bone charms, like I said before, but that was like a thing that I never got into in the second game, and I didn't get into here either. You'd get some really badass bone charms, though. I'm like, damn, some of these bone charms that I've come across are awesome.
Yeah.
So it is. If you play this, there's tons of bone charms like everywhere, and it's worth it to get, you know, to seek out as many of those as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And some of Billy's later abilities and stuff are really cool, and some of the animations are really awesome for, you know, some of the new void artifacts. And remember how I told you that there was that dead heart that you're carrying around and I didn't know what it did? Apparently, the dead heart is the reason you can hear what the rats are saying.
Okay. Is it like an itty bitty little heart that has a little bit some gray hairs on it?
Is that like
No.
like in the first game?
There is a heart in the first and then the second game, and in this game, there's also the heart. It's a full-size human heart, and you're carrying it around, but for some reason, you can hear rats when you hold it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Wait, you've
anyway,
never experienced that?
I've never held a human heart, so no, I have not.
Oh, well, there's your problem.
Right? There you go. So, yeah, I don't know how much more I want to say about that other than it is another Dishonored game. If you like the storylines as they have developed in this series so far, you will want to play this because it really is setting it up for like a whole new chapter of the series. So it's definitely worth a play for that. And like I said, I was really worried that they might do something janky with the Outsider, but they didn't do anything. They didn't say too much, you know, if to over-explain things. They didn't give too much to him, you know, if that makes sense. They didn't give too much character to him to the point that it's, you know, made him less cool.
Right.
They
the thing
stuff with him that...
The thing we were worried about was, just for people who weren't aware, the thing was that by answering too many questions, they would take away his mystique, explain too much, and just kind of diminish his role in the cosmos.
And
See,
what
I just really disliked that character. Like, I was hoping the death of the Outsider was literal.
Well, that's a choice you have to make in the game.
Oh, I know how I'm going.
So, but the thing about it is that the way that this game plays out and the information that they give you about the Outsider more or less kind of plays on that information that they already gave you in 2, and they kind of stick with that. They don't give you anything more than what they already told you in 2, but they just embellish it a little bit without adding anything extra, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was fun to play. I was more Dishonored. So I'm good with that. I'm interested to know where they go with it from here, but we'll see. So the last thing that I have to talk about, unless somebody has any questions or anything about this game,
did any power? You gave a little bit of a summary of the powers last time. Did any power become more useful or noteworthy, or like, oh, like I get this now between then and now?
Well, some of the bone charms affect your powers. So it's, instead of giving you runes that you can use to level up your powers, you get some new abilities, but then you also get, you know, bone charms that enhance your skills. So like one of them allows semblance, you know, the ability to steal somebody's identity, to take less void energy. Another one allows you to mark more things when you are in your equivalent of Farsight. I don't remember what it's called. And maybe it is called Foresight. I don't remember. And things like that. So like some of the bone charms level up those powers if you choose to use them. But they don't gain any additional agency other than through these bone charms, I don't think.
Okay.
They let you upgrade from 4-sight to 5-sight.
So, anyway, any other questions?
No?
About that? Okay. So, the last game I've been playing, I'm kind of excited to talk about this, is We Happy Few.
Yeah.
It is from Compulsion Games, the makers of Contrast, and I really, really love that game. So, it is a first-person dystopian survival horror roguelite set in a drugged-out dystopian English city in 1964. Did I tell you it's dystopian?
So it's basically Detroit in England.
Oh.
Well, the devs were basically very, very strongly influenced by 1984, Brave New World, Brazil, The Prisoner, A Clockwork Orange, V for Vendetta, and actually Doctor Who as well, along with humorous elements from things like Monty Python and Blow Up. I don't know what Blow Up is, but whatever it is, it must be funny. Yeah. So some of the Compulsion team actually worked with Arcane Studios, the Dishonored devs, during a period where they were secretly working on an episode for the Half-Life series. So that was also set in a dystopian world, and this game apparently, like this thing they were working on carried over into We Happy Few. So whatever it was, whatever work they were doing with Arcane for Half-Life ended up in this game. And it's being published by Gearbox now. And it was originally a crowdfunded thing that they were trying to do on their own, but then now they got a publisher, Gearbox, and as a result, the price has jacked up about $20 or so.
Yeah, it's like a $50 game.
Yep.
It's made so it was $30 before, and I got it I was given this game when it had gone on sale, so I mean it was really not that expensive before. A lot of people got really mad about this on Steam, and it went from very positive to mixed reviews, with a lot of people just writing "fuck you, Gearbox."
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about review bombing a game just by its price, but this is also still early access. I just went to check to make sure I was right about that.
Yeah, it is early access. Its release schedule is for April 13th of 2018 for PS4, Xbox One, and of course PC. And the thing about it is that basically the devs were taking a long time on working on it because honestly they need more money. I mean, they've jacked up the price, but they need the money to fund the gaming. What they're making, the game that I played, was more polished than Dishonored: Death of the Outsider. There weren't any fucking bugs. It played perfectly well, and it was great, and it was beautiful. I mean, it's very stylized, and there's a lot of work that has gone into this game, and it shows. So I mean, the price is higher now, but it's legitimate. They've been putting the work into it, and to finish it the way that they want to, and add the things that they're still working on. Yeah. So the devs say that they wanted to give the players a sense of paranoia and have decisions in the moral gray ground that have weight that influences the latter parts of the game. So right now, I've been running around and killing a lot of people. Oh, I'm probably gonna have a very bad ending.
How does that interact with it being a roguelike?
Here, there's an option of how much that you need to maintain just health and fatigue, or health, sleep, hunger, thirst and fatigue, etc. There's also an option of permadeath. Even if you are not using permadeath, the game auto-saves, and you can't go back and undo anything. It doesn't matter. If the game suddenly crashes, it's auto-saved it. You can't undo. You can't just exit out or, whatever. It saves it. It's also procedurally generated, so repeat playthroughs will be at least somewhat different. I mean, there's going to be quests that are similar, but the layout of everything will be different every time. And it's been labeled as a crossover of BioShock, Fallout, and Don't Starve, along with Brave New World in 1984. But the devs say, that they weren't. I mean, other than the two books, they weren't prime influencers. Those games weren't prime influencers on what Compulsion's been doing. But that's the kind of vibe that this game has. So the story, it takes place in October 1964, as I said before, in an alternative timeline for Europe where the final solution occurred years before it did in real life, and there's like a revival of the Second German Empire, continued war everywhere, and then the German Empire invades and occupies Great Britain. And when it's under occupation, it got contaminated by chemical warfare experiments, and this fictional island, Wellington Wells, did something that was so bad that they wanted to forget it, and that's kind of like, something you reveal later in the game, whatever it was that they did. And as a result of this thing that was so bad that it was, devastating to them, they developed a hallucinogenic drug called Joy that suppresses all unhappy memories, but also makes them easy to manipulate, decreases their ability to recognize moral and long-term consequences. And the Wellies who are on Joy wear white happy face masks as a sign of like how happy they are or whatever. And it's basically, a flip around of the use of the Guy Fawkes mask in V for Vendetta, because in there it's like for liberation, but here it's psychological oppression.
Right.
And anyway, those that are immune to Joy or decide not to take it or whatever are forced out of the city to fend for themselves, and they're called the Wastrels or Downers. And they all go crazy because they're wallowing in their own guilt because they remember everything.
Right.
And the story mode, which they're working on, will feature different narratives, like narratives of 3 different characters. You play, at least I play, Arthur is the name of the dude I'm playing. But there have been other people mentioned as well that he's like, oh, I wonder where she is or something. So that's probably one of the other characters,
Yeah.
That's in this intertwining narrative. Also, because of the isolation and dystopia and whatever, this is retrofuturistic, so it's got Tesla-style weapons and mobile power cells, home security systems, but they're all with 60s aesthetics.
It's got like a real like BioShock and BioShock Infinite kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. So, there's some random announcements about like what all they're doing with this game, and then I'll talk about how it plays. In March of this year, Gold Circle Films announced plans to adapt it into a feature film. So it's going to be made into a film. It also, last week, it was announced that the Bobbies, the police guys, are going to be made into statues in partnership with McFarlane Toys. So also, there's going to be Halloween content, which I'm looking forward to, that like released, this month.
Okay.
Other things, huh?
I was going to ask whether it's 2018 or this year. So yeah.
This year. And there's also other things that were mentioned about things that they're working on to update. New attack intricacies, like new movement patterns and things like that. A skill tree. They don't have one on, they don't have a skill tree yet. Basically what happens is to upgrade your abilities, you find books, and those books give you bonuses. There is going to be more linking up of some of the starter islands. I've gotten 2 of them open out of 5 total. 4 of them are accessible at this time. The 5th one they're still working on. The story mode is still being worked up. They're adding more voiceover to the different encounters and play testing and correcting a bunch of stuff, So, but like I said, the stuff that I've played so far is really polished, looks really good, feels really good. So, I'll tell you about how it plays.
I want to hear like the exploration and combat and how the survival articulates.
Yeah. So, first person with the usual movements. You can sneak, you can run. You've got hotkeys for healing items and equipment. You can quick toggle weapon and item stuff. The main HUD has, like health, thirst, fatigue, and current statuses like food poisoning or plague or whatever. And there's also a suspicion meter, which shows you how weird you seem to people. Like, I'll talk more about that in a minute. There's hotkeys in the lower right. There's a compass. There's a lung meter of your endurance, your stamina bar, basically. And all the different menus are very clear to read and stylish and very 60s retro looking. Character status, inventory, crafting, map, and quest log.
Jesus,
so
intricate.
usual stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about sneaking in a minute, and that's more about that suspicion thing. The weapons. So you automatically can, participate in fisticuffs, but you can pick up a shovel, a metal pipe, a rock, a pointy stick, a cricket bat, whatever, and they all do different types of damage, as you might expect. Blunt damage, bleeding damage, and they swing differently. But because the animation, sounds, and camera movement and timing and everything are just the way that they are, it makes it more convincingly different. Like it feels different, even if you are just pushing buttons, it feels like you're doing a different kind of thing. And this is the first time that I have done some kind of fist fighting in a game and felt like it was actually kind of convincing. So I was surprised because Contrast, the game they did before this, is a puzzle game.
Yeah.
There is no fighting. So this was like, whoa, I was skeptical, but this is a good game. So sneaking is fucking hard. You can make some sneakers that last until the materials wear out, but people are automatically suspicious of you if you enter a place that's owned by somebody else. Like you walk into somebody's house, everybody's mad at you and they want you out of your house.
As they would be.
If you are out past, well, because you could go into like somebody's house in Morrowind and nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And you can steal their shit, and that's when they get mad. But
They're very
like,
trusting there. Yeah.
yeah, but like in this game, man, you get close to their house and they get mad. And like if you're out past curfew, they are like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And they get mad and they will automatically attack you. If you are wearing clothing that doesn't fit in with the people you're around, they will get upset. If you start messing with something like a telephone box to try to steal coins out of it, like if you got a Jimmy and you're trying to like take some money, they will get mad and they will come after you. Like there's a lot of things that will trigger them being suspicious. Like when I first showed up, showed up at the starter island area, I was wearing a nice suit and I had to fuck it up because otherwise all the downers that were in the area would be like mistrustful because
that's pretty cool.
Well, because I look like a prim and proper citizen.
Yeah, you're way too put together.
Like a downer,
Yeah.
Exactly.
How do you fuck up a suit?
You take a rock and you take a suit and it's in the crafting menu and you fuck it up.
Is there a button that just says fuck up?
Torn. No, it says torn suit and like, you need a rock and you need a suit and there you go. So yeah, and you can run away and they'll chase you for a little bit, but they will give up. It's not like my memorable romps through all of Cyrodiil with the fucking Ubermensch guards who would sooner track you down across all the entire countryside than let you get away with like stealing that berry off that table or whatever, whatever stupid shit I was doing at the time.
Hunt is on.
Yeah, like the Ubermensch guards of hell, they do not come for you here. It's not that bad. Although the bobbies will fuck you up. They are so strong. You don't want to mess with the bobbies. I just want to tell you that. I had one experience and it was very brief and I died. So you can forage for plants and use them in crafting medicine and for eating. And, all in all, it's pretty absorbing, but I haven't gotten to a place where I've gotten into the city where all of the wellies are yet. AKA the people who are on the joy medicine that have the weird creepy white faces. I haven't gotten into the prim and proper city yet. I'm still wandering around in the no man's land, figuring out what to do. So it's very fun. It's very absorbing. And the main character, just to explain, it's not all depressing, bad, terrible stuff. The main character guy, Arthur, has a lot of lighthearted lines that he delivers in this like affable, English guy voice that just, him trying to sound like he's convincingly crazy like all the other downers, or, him making some, random silly comment. And it's just lighthearted enough that, and he makes them so like with enough frequency that even if it's like a depressing situation, it's not like playing something like Fallout,
Right.
Like you've got a little bit of levity to what's going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Like I said, I've opened up 2 of the different, cities, and there is a way to fast travel once you open up the safe areas. Like you have a shelter in each of the starter cities, and you can link them up so you can fast travel between those cities.
Mhm.
So there is that. And yeah, like actually another thing I want to talk about with this, all these quests, I'm trying to do it like I would play an Elder Scrolls game, which is like somebody's telling me their quest line and I'm over here, opening this chest or something.
Yeah.
Only I do that and then, like that fucks up the whole quest and like suddenly they're mad at me or something else happens or something blows up and they die and like
And then they just
I'm
clam
like,
up
oh my
like
God.
you're just done.
Yeah, and it just like it wrecks it. You have to sit and listen and act like a human being. You can't act like you're in an open world video game like a Bethesda game. You can't.
Right.
Because they will not like you. It will fail your quest. So you have to like actually act, like role play it out.
Right.
So it's actually kind of cool that way. It surprised me and I did it 2 or 3 times before it finally ground in my head like, okay, stop acting like you're in a video game. You can't, and these motherfuckers are going to find you. You better be really quiet, and slow and whatever, because you do get paranoid because like there are people everywhere and they get mad at you for like everything.
Right.
So
this is like way more. This is way bigger, more expansive than the version of it that I had in my head.
Oh yeah, I know. I did not realize I was stepping into like a fucking open world experience here,
Yeah.
like when I put it on my list, I'm like, oh, Contrast was a cute game. This will be like a 15-hour. Nope. No, not at all. I have barely begun to scratch the surface of this game. So and it's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what all they do when they add more to it and all that.
So without permadeath, how does dying work?
You die and then you restart at the closest like starter town, sitting on a bench reading a paper. And you actually, you can pick, like I said, you can pick either permadeath or when you wake up, you feel like you've had a bad dream, and it just kind of resets to a point a little bit before you died. I was hoping, like, when I had the plague and I died, that maybe I wouldn't have the plague when I came back. Nope, I had the plague.
Right.
It didn't go away. Like,
right.
You can't just, like, wipe all the bad things that just happened.
It was a plague dream.
Oh, used to. Yeah.
What,
So, yeah.
How randomized are the proceedings?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't really know. I mean, like, I've wandered around, and the thing is that this game, what ends up happening is that I get a quest, but in order to complete this quest, the thing that I need is really far away, and I have to like work up to getting to it. So they end up being like longer quests a lot of times than, what I'm accustomed to. Like,
Right.
It's not, even in something like a Skyrim, you go to the location and then you get the item and then that's it. You come back and that's golden. But like these quests are like multi-part and there's different types of things you need to do. And, like it's sheer serendipity when I actually happen to get all of the items that I need for a particular part to progress, onto the next thing. So, but I have not restarted the game to see how different it looks, how different the presentation is, how different the starting areas are. I don't know if I start on a different area the next time I load it up or what, but there, like I said, there's no save slots. It just auto saves your game, and you can either start a new game or continue the game that you're on, and that's it. Like, those are your options.
Yeah.
So, like I'd like to see, but I only have one spot, and I don't want to like undo it just to go check,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of want to make some progress. So
Makes some sense. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm surprised that you said the downers will attack you if you look differently than them. I was surprised by that because aren't they the people who stop taking pills and they're like not brainwashed?
They're not brainwashed, but they're crazy.
Okay.
They're crazy because they're half starved and they're poor and they have all their memories of the bad thing that happened, and they're all like, miserable people living in the wastes.
Yeah. So you can't participate.
Struggling
I'm sorry. Good.
They can't what?
Oh, they can't participate in society if they don't take joy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, and the way that this game starts is really, really awesome too. And I would love to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it because you just need to like play the beginning part of the game or go watch it on a Let's Play if you don't want to. Although, like, the thing about the Let's Plays is that since this is an alpha, I don't know what version you would see, right. out there on a Let's Play. Like, I don't know if it's going to be like a really antiquated version that's not like the current version or what. So, But anyway, like, yeah, all the stuff that I've currently got access to is all, really polished and doesn't feel like an early access game at all. It feels like a finished product, even if it's not. So that's why I'm jazzed about when they finally officially release it. So if you pre-order the game, and that includes if you do early access, you can get a special extra weapon. And the cost is actually 15% off the final retail price, because the final retail price for the standard edition of the game will be $59.99.
Yep, full price.
So, yeah.
Huh.
But there's also, I found out there's a collector set that's not going to come with a game. It's an add-on that's just a bunch of, paraphernalia sold completely separately. That is a Bobby mask stand, a lamp, an alarm clock, a guidebook, stickers, propaganda posters, and a vinyl soundtrack, all of which look really cool. But the price tag is like $150 just for like the doodad.
Yeah. Man, that is so much merch to put out for a game that doesn't exist yet.
I know. It's like all this stuff that they're planning. They're planning a movie. It's in early access and they're planning a movie. They've got the. I don't know if that just speaks to how good the early access version is, or if this is just like people front loading way too much stuff. But I don't know. They,
it seems presumptuous.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But honestly, it does. But then it doesn't, because I played it.
You played it and you liked it. Yeah.
I like it, and I want to play more of it. And like, I haven't played an open world game that has actually absorbed me into it in a long time. Like, the last one I played was Skyrim, and I never was fully on board with that. Like, I was constantly going, even Oblivion was better than this, Morrowind was better than this. I don't really like this aspect or that aspect of this game, and this is okay, but this got really boring, So yeah, so I really like this game, and I dig the aesthetic, and I'm digging the way that it feels and how it moves. So definitely check it out if you are interested by any of the things that I have mentioned, and, wait for a sale and grab it while you can before the price goes up.
Yeah.
I will definitely check back in and let you know about the Halloween stuff if I find it.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious about it. Neat.
It's survival horror.
Emphasis on survival, yeah.
Yeah, survival for sure.
It looks really cool. I think I'll probably wait and pick it up in April. But
yeah, when it's done. Yeah. I can understand that entirely.
I'd be way into story mode.
Yeah.
Is my thing.
Yeah. Well, for me, this just means that I get a leg up and I can maybe have more fun with the story mode, because I can get into the story, but I know the gist of what I need to do and, how to get to everything, when it comes out. Like, I'll probably play a little bit more, but then I will want to stop for a while so I can pick it up again when they're done.
Yeah. You're not burn out.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Do you guys mind if I go next?
Go!
Yeah. So on the stream front, I've been playing Clive Barker's Undying. I almost said Jericho, which is wrong. No, playing Clive Barker's Undying. It's a 2001 horror-themed shooter. Man, that is not what I expected. So I hadn't played it before, and most people sell it to you like it is a Deus Ex-style event crawler or like System Shock kind of thing, but with, kind of Silent Hill, Gothic horror kind of stuff attached to it. No, it's like a Doom-ass shooter. You're playing, it might as well be, it's spooky unreal is what I called it on the, on the stream. So I'm a little bit disappointed because it's less inspired than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I watched some of your stream and I'm like, Clive Barker's Doom? It just, I was hoping for more narrative.
Me
What?
Did you like Jericho?
No, I never played Jericho. It doesn't have a great reputation. I read about it. It seems like it has some good ideas. It just seems like they botched the execution.
Sure.
Dude, anytime anybody mentions Jericho in the Slack, a bunch of people are like, that game is fucking trash or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Which, I mean, here's how broken I am. I kind of want to try it to see in what way it is trash.
Yeah, it just always seemed like an awesome game that I wanted to play, but apparently, yeah, I never heard good things about it.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's always so sad when it's like a great idea and a bad execution.
I like the idea of having a squad based shooter where you can change which person you play as, and they have different abilities. Like that seems good to me, but I don't know. What do I know? Yeah.
I just remember being suspicious of Jericho because it has like Clive Barker's Jericho, and I had no idea who Clive Barker was.
Oh yeah.
Isn't he a fairly well-known author?
Yeah, he's pretty well known as a horror author. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't read his things, but
Yeah, I've never read anything by Clive Barker.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna finish Undying. It'll be up there for the stream. It's not like, as long as you recognize that it's going to be very, very much of its time, I don't think it's terrible in terms of shooters of that era. I just didn't expect it to be so 2001, so late 90s, you know? Yeah, but like,
And boy, howdy is it.
like they're cool little things. You beat all the bosses by decapitating them, and some of them talk to you after you decapitate them, and you're carrying the heads around.
Yeah,
you have
that
spells.
was kind of cool.
You have spells, which is interesting. So this does like dual wielding weapons and special abilities, kind of similarly to the way BioShock does.
Yeah, and you have a limp magic missile.
Yeah,
You have the limpest ass magic missile there is.
Yeah, he just kind of like your guy just kind of like draws very languid circles in the air with his fingers to shoot his magic missile. It's very strange. However, you also use that same motion to summon skulls from the ground that you use as your rocket launcher.
I did not even see those
Second one
because I
sounds
didn't
cool.
last that long. Yeah, but besides which, also you forgot to mention that the magic missiles don't actually always hit. They just kind of like go in directions.
They go in
you know?
random
Wait,
directions.
isn't that the point of Magic Missile?
No, the point of magic missile is that it always hits.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
holds-
that's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah, this is like, that's why I say it's the limpest ass magic missile there is, because it doesn't even, it just doesn't even.
I've had better
Just-
control over Roman candles that I've fired.
To be fair, I mean, the Romans were very particular about their lighting.
They were very aggressive with their room lighting.
Yeah.
The Roomba light.
So I won't be doing a stream this weekend, any streams, because I'm going to be out of town. But I will try and be back with something or other. That's fun. Non-stream stuff. So I've played more Danganronpa, but I haven't played enough of it to feel comfortable talking about it. So I don't want to do it like onesie twosie piecemeal kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to skip over that. Other things I have been playing, a game I've been waiting for a very long time, has come out on Switch last week. It's called Golf Story.
Oh,
Okay.
well then. Ignore the Slack.
Yeah, I responded. Like, I'd mentioned golf games. You're like, hey, check this out. I'm like, yeah, I know, man. I'm super all about it.
It's my grind.
Yeah, I am up on it. Yeah, so this is a golf game that is mixed with like an adventure game RPG kind of thing. You play as a little dude, you go around, you talk to people, you do golf challenges, you level up, you gain resources and money for gear. And your gear is new golf things. It has this really cute kind of like 16-bit aesthetic. So
I like 16-beat aesthetic. That's pretty good.
Yep. It's kind of like that DJ collective that we sometimes run into at cons called Altered Beats, which is a very good name for a thing. Yeah. No, 16-bit aesthetic, which is quite good. and like your first course is kind of just like this rundown regular course, no real big thing, like, but the rundownness plays into the way that it goes, because like this course is overrun by moles, and if you happen to hit your ball near some moles, they will pick it up and then run it either to the nearest bunker or just to a random spot.
And that's a good thing, right? Bunkers are good?
No, bunkers are terrible. Bunkers are sand, or in the next one, where it's a prehistoric zone, the bunkers are either sand or tar pits.
Does that mean that your character actually ends up in the tar pit and just like melts and shit? Or like...
I've definitely had to do a couple of shots out of a tar pit. My character was never worse
in mortal
for it.
danger,
right?
You don't get fossilized.
No, you don't get preserved for the ages.
That would have been really awesome. Sorry, continue.
you just respawn. It's millions of years later.
To be fair, great. You don't know. That could be how you get to the next stage.
Okay, yeah, that's as far as I've gotten. I'm only on the second area. But yeah, it's super goofy. Like the splash screen indicates that there is a spooky Halloween course that I'm going to go to eventually. And it's got all these little challenges. Some of the courses have moving platforms, and you are using like this regular 3-tap timing based hit mechanic, classic, going all the way back to NES Golf, to do these trick shots. You have a lot of control over the ball. You are able to shape the shot by picking where on the ball you're going to hit. You can apply top spin or bottom spin to it, or backspin rather. Yeah, it's it's played from a top-down perspective. It feels and looks super simple, but any individual course that you're on, you can run around before you go in and play just a regular, 9 or 18 holes. And they'll say something like, "Oh, I'm a caveman, so the fairway is best grass. Only land ball on fairway." Okay, so you have to get to the green and get it in without ever landing on the rough or in a bunker. Then you find another person like, "Oh, the rough is the best grass, so only never land on the fairway or in the deep rough. Oh, the deep rough is the best." So it's like running you through, like with a small little quest structure, the way the different terrains work for you. I wish the game was less talky. It thinks its writing is a little bit funnier than it actually is, and it gets a little bit in the way. I'm not that crazy about the story, but I do like going around and doing little golf chores in order to get money so I can upgrade my dude.
That sounds like a Kole-ass game.
Yep.
So would this be a game that would be interesting even if someone wasn't into like golf or sports games? Because sort of sounds like the sports or the golf is just kind of the gameplay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like golf is to this world as Pokemon battles are to Pokemon.
Right. I was actually in my head comparing it to Pokemon, actually. So
yeah. So I mean, you have to be down for a golf game, and that's not at all close to what golf actually is. Like you're not doing a lot of like fine motion. Like the joy in a golf game is making decisions about your shots, like planning out an approach and getting around the obstacles and stuff. And this just happens to be a game where mini golf style impediments are brought out to large scale, like a large scale golf kind of approach, right? And a comparison to Mario Golf is not unfair, or like, I'm not interested in tennis. Would I play Mario Tennis? Well, yeah, because it's a really good game outside of the fact that it's a tennis game. This is actually based on or inspired by the Camelot, I think, Mario Golf games for the Game Boy Advance, and there was also a tennis one as well, where it was golf and tennis RPGs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So if you remember those, like, you're pretty much in the same neighborhood for this.
Nice.
And, like, it's on the Switch, and it's super great to play something this adorable on a Switch. Like, I love that system an awful lot. Like, it's great to play it in bed. It's great to sit down and play it on the TV. It looks great in either format. Is
it great?
Yeah, it's great.
No,
Sorry.
he actually hates it.
Yeah, no, it's it's terrible. And now I'm going to get to the final judgment. This is a game for dogs. No.
I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not.
It depends on what you think of dogs. No, I don't mean to overuse great. It's been a nice soothing balm for me for the past week or so. So, yeah. Any questions about Golf Story?
Sounds like a Pokemon-esque golf game. I don't know.
Puka golf.
I want to get to that spooky course so bad.
The spooky part would have been if you actually melted in the tar pit.
They really missed. They missed an existential
a golden opportunity.
Yeah, they missed an existential violence opportunity.
I have no mouth and I must golf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, when are they going to make a survival horror golf game?
I would actually be really curious about that.
That could be pretty badass.
Sand traps have actual traps in them.
Yep, it's like the Saw game. It's Saw Golf. Saw mini golf. Oh no.
I know what I'm doing at the next game jam.
We've been going for a while, but I want to put it out there. I'm playing. I played both SteamWorld Dig, and I am currently playing SteamWorld Dig 2. And those are fantastic. I'll save more details.
SteamWorld Dig 2, the one that's like the kind of air pirate thing?
No, you're thinking of SteamWorld Heist, which is also good. I got that on iPad recently. That's like the turn-based, strategy that's done from side-scrolling.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Both of those are really good. All three of them. Like, it is a startlingly good franchise. But I'll save more details about SteamWorld Dig 2 specifically for next time.
Cool.
Whee!
Yeah. Let's see. David and Ben, fight it out. Okay, David.
I was going to say rock, paper, scissors, but that doesn't really work.
David, what you been playing?
Honestly, I've just been doing a lot more grinding on Destiny.
Okay.
I guess the only thing I can say about that's really particularly new is unfortunately the emo kids won the faction war, which is kind of too bad because the reward for that was a scout rifle, basically like a semi-automatic rifle, which there's a really high quality semi-automatic rifle that's already kind of the current meta favorite. So it's actually kind of like, well, here's a weapon I'm probably never going to use. So that's a little bit too bad, but we'll definitely get them next time.
No.
Other than that, I tried some of the multiplayer, and it's actually pretty good. I'm still a little salty over them decreasing the player count again. But
from what to what?
I'm not. Well, I would argue from 16 in Halo to 4 in this.
Okay.
I forget what was in Destiny 1, but this is basically Halo. I mean, overall, I think it's actually a pretty solid system. I really like that. It seems like there's some features that are designed to kind of make it more approachable. For example, I like that your super gauge persists through death. Okay. So that basically, like, even if you're getting killed all the time, eventually you'll get to use your super attack.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't know. Overall, it just seems pretty fun. One thing I do kind of find interesting that I think is probably a good thing, but just sort of interesting just in terms of, some of the, there's the big thing with whatever company it is that makes League of Legends with like really trying to make the game approachable and supportive and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting because it's very obviously and very explicitly like the game is, super supportive. So like the announcer voiceover, like when you lose, kind of gives you like a mini pep talk type of thing.
And that's not patronizing?
I would say not. Because I would say like it's in character, like kind of the in character conceit is that this is basically competition set up to be like training. So they're kind of couched in being like, here's the couch and sort of that sort of delivery, if that makes sense.
So it's like a pep talk. Or they're not saying like, oh, make sure that you don't get blown up next time. Like, are they offering tips, or is it just like a tonal thing? Like,
more tonal thing.
Yeah.
Very, very much a like in the message for like, you have a minute left and you're losing is couched in like, oh, when we're on the battlefield, we have to never give up, kind of that sort of type of thing.
Yeah. Halftime speech.
Yeah. Similarly, like sometimes if you have like an assist, you'll get, yeah, that's why we organize, our fighters into fire teams. Like it's just kind of endearing. I could see that being something that really your mileage may vary, but I at least enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Does that vary by faction, or is that just in general across the board?
Yeah, there's really only one faction. So, but there's a character that is like kind of the guy who runs the Crucible is what they call it.
Yep.
And so it's it's done from his personality that you meet him outside of these events, so he's kind of someone who has an established personality already.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's I think it's something it a little bit frustrates me because they'll periodically do some events and they give some awards and stuff like that for participating in these things, and a lot of times people that are kind of more there for the PvE will sort of be against it. And like, I'm all about, play the game the way you want to play it. But at the same time, I do feel like it's set up in such a way that very much like, I think even if you don't care about PvP, you can play it some and still get enjoyment out of it, and can be a good change of pace.
Yeah.
So, and it's also kind of fun. I actually haven't gotten a chance to do this, but there's rewards for your clan participating in PvP and like winning a game, at least one game a week with your team. Things like that, and that's kind of nice. Both one because it's it's just makes it kind of more entertaining, and then also something that's nice is then if your clan accomplishes that in a week, everyone in the clan basically gets an engram, which is basically like a loot box with the PvP loot table. So if you don't do PvP, you can still get loot from that drop table.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So you're not locked out.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, other than that, I mean, it's kind of just almost like the multiplayer today. It's sort of just a game you kind of grind
play.
on.
This is what I play now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I did. I've been doing more of the strikes, which are sort of their equivalent to dungeons, kind of mini raids. And there is one that's really cool. There's the enemy faction is basically kind of doing this like drilling, strip mining type thing, and you're trying to subvert it. And there's this section where you basically have to like run through the path of the drill And so there's a couple of different levels, and the I don't know anything about drills. The like scrapey bits of the drills will be at the different levels, so you'll have to basically dodge them.
the bits of the drills.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of cool because like there are moments where like I wouldn't see it coming, and at the last minute would have to do like a slide tackle thing, like under the like oncoming drill bit, and just things like that. Having to do kind of clutch jumps to not get insta killed. So I'm trying to think. The only other thing that's kind of fun is there's a weekly challenge version of these. And this week it was basically, the difficulty on it was you had a very, very short time period in which you had to complete the dungeon, but all of like your grenades and special abilities and stuff like that recharged almost instantly.
Yeah.
So you could just, be spamming grenades, but at the same time, like, even with that, it took us, like, 3 or 4 runs and with some of the people in the clan, and I think we ended up beating it with, like, 5 seconds left to go. So, that's just kind of fun. I think this week's you only regenerate health while sprinting, and there's targets you can shoot to get more time. So it's something different each week.
Huh.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. What else have you been playing?
That's about it.
Okay.
Like you said, this is what I play now. I'm contractually obligated.
Trapped in a Destiny factory. Please send help.
Yes, exactly.
Ben, round us out.
Yep. Speaking of things that we were resigned to play now, Rocket League. They have a season 4 update this last week, so they added some new maps. They added new crates, so like items you can get. Whatever, that's fine. Whatever.
Is there anything notable about the new map they added?
There's a farm map, which is interesting. It's like a mud barn in the background. It was I don't know. It was something that a theme that they had not touched upon up until this point. So. Who knows what was going on there? But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Most of that's pretty trivial, I guess. One thing that was fun, though, is this last week we started we had enough people playing that we started playing like mutator settings on the games. So you just can create a private match, and you can kind of change some of the settings of the game, and it makes the game more interesting. And so one version of it is you make the ball a cube, you make it very heavy, and then you make gravity very high, so it's really hard to move it. But then you put your boost to 10x the speed as what it normally is. So the point of the game is just to like push this box into the other person's goal, but it's like very ineffective doing any sort of pushing. So that was a lot of fun. I think we also had one where it was like a low gravity setting. And also 10x boost, and then the ball just like floats, like it's high bounciness and low gravity. And so the way that works is you are basically like a bullet of a gun, where you need to aim your car towards the ball that's floating in the air, press the boost button, just shoot your car to it to try and hit it towards the other person's goal. And I think the last mode we played was a mode called Ping Pong, where the bounciness is really high. It's a small sphere. And the rules are you play 2-on-2, and you stay on your half of the court, and you can only go on the other side of the court if you do an aerial to try and hit the ball in their goal. But it's essentially like playing ping pong at that point. I don't know. So that was a cool way to kind of freshen up the game. Nice. Probably will still keep playing that game in perpetuity, or at least as long as people are playing Destiny.
No sign of stopping.
Yeah. Outside of that, as a missed segue, I played a little bit of Golf It with some coworker friends.
What's Golf It? I'm interested.
It's a golfing game. I think the aspect that's supposed to be fun of it is you can hit one another's balls when you're trying to go to to hit it in the cup.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a spoiler effect. It's just an okay game, I guess. I don't know. It'd been hyped up as like a fun multiplayer game. like it was fine, but I don't know. I guess it's a game that I don't 100% get the appeal of. I mean, one of the cooler aspects of after we played like the vanilla course, we played a 18-hole course that one of my coworkers created, and so that was like a lot more interesting. There's like some of the levels were really interesting. Like there's one that's like essentially like a pinball machine where so you're just controlling the golf of the golf ball, and so like you hit it up a ramp and it goes down what is the equivalent of a pinball machine. So there's things like bumpers that are knocking your ball around. And then there's like certain places you need to get to on it in order to like complete the hole. I think another one of the courses was something like a Plinko machine. So I don't know. That was interesting. Not 100% endorsing it, but that's a game. It exists. Whatever.
But like multiplayer is built in. Like you
yes,
play this online on Steam.
Yeah, it would be a very weird experience if you were just playing it single player, I guess. Or I don't know. It seems like it's built around playing with friends and that sort of thing.
Is the course editor built in, or does it just have tools outside of it?
I think it's built in. I haven't explored it myself. I've only played the courses that were created. Yeah, so don't have a whole lot to say on it. Just thought I'd bring it up since we were talking about golf games. And then the last one is I played a little bit more of Little Nightmares. Ran into one of the first creepy bosses, and it was kind of creepy. And it's a lot of
was it great?
A lot of deep observations I'm offering here, guys. I guess I don't want to say too much about it. Maybe not spoil it, but it's to a point where it's like you're kind of doing multiple levels with this creature like along with you. So. There's kind of like a stealth element where you're trying to sneak around him, but yeah, you're constantly like following along with him. So it creates some cool moments of like high tension. I feel like it's close to being like the Insider Limbo sort of thing where you try something out, die, and then repeat or whatever. But it doesn't feel as like it makes me appreciate like Limbo and Inside where. I think they sell it by committing to the death animation, so it's like this new content that you get to see. Whereas in like Little Nightmares, it's kind of like a lazy sort of animation of like, oh, you died, try it again. And I never really realized until now that that's it's kind of satisfying having that like original content when you're exploring and you die in a gratuitous way or something like that.
So how do you feel about Tomb Raider?
That's a decent point. I don't think Tomb Raider is trying to be the puzzle game that Limbo or Inside Little Nightmares is. So they just end up having just the gratuitous death animations. So
yeah.
So
like the gratuitous deaths are fun and interesting. Like that goes way back to like the Mac Adventure games or Sierra Adventure games, like where half of the fun was figuring out what kind of deaths were accounted for, right?
Yeah. I guess it's it's just surprising to me that like it's essentially the same thing. You try something out and you die, but it's like if the game does like a custom art animation for it, then it's kind of interesting. Whereas if the game like kind of lazily does the same thing over and over again, then it's like this is boring or kind of frustrating. So yeah, I don't know. I mean the art style's still really good on Little Nightmares, so I'll probably kind of pick it up and play it for a little bit of time. But I don't know.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, that sounds like a show, unless you have something else.
That's all I got.
Okay. Do you all want to button it up?
Buttons.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening in to this, the 215th of our levels. Really appreciate it. I'm trying to think of admin kind of stuff. If you want to come out to the Portland Retro Game Expo, that's reasonable. You might still be thinking about coming. We are doing our live show. It's kind of at a weird time. Saturday night at 8:30. It's a 45-minute thing.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't quite know what to think about it, but we're going to roll with it, have fun, and do the meetup afterwards. So
sweet.
Yeah, talking about WarioWare for Watch Out for Fireballs and going to be set up at the booth otherwise. But for this show... if you want to write a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or whatever it's called, we, it's been a while since we got one, and I would like to get one. So consider doing that, and then also tell some friends. Am I forgetting anything?
No.
All right. So I have been Cole Ross, at Cole Ross on Twitter.
I've been David Mysmith at MoneySmith777 on the internet.
I'm Jala-chan in places.
I'm Merkleby on Twitch.
And stick around for some titles. All right, Jala, you have any titles?
I have a few. I have Pizzucchini.
Okay.
I have Dad's Codpiece.
Okay.
Limp Missile. And 16-beat aesthetic.
Okay. Ben?
I have Glasses Are a Part of My Face Now. I have It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. And then I have Scrappy Bits.
Okay, Scrappy Bits.
Scrappy Bits are kin to Fiddly Bits.
Yep, I was thinking that. David?
So I'm not sure if this exactly counts, since I don't know if we literally said this combination of words, but I had Codpiece Hardliners.
Okay. Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just generally my note was that my suggestion is something related to cod pieces.
I'm hoping it was just Codpiece Hardliners, question mark.
More or less, yep.
Then somebody would find that, like you would drop it while carrying it somewhere, like whoa, and then they just that thought would get stuck in their head and would roll over and over until they went mad.
No, I'm just saying, I'm hoping this picks up and this becomes a thing. We'll bring him back, man.
Yeah. So the only title that I have is It's Arbor Day, Charlie Brown. I'm inclined to go with that one unless somebody wants to make an impassioned plea for one of the others.
The Codpiece one actually got a lot more laughs, I think.
True. Codpiece Hardliners. So it can't be Dad's Codpiece because we just did Dad Space.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to lean. I don't want to lean too hard on Dad.
Yeah. Codpiece Hardliners is cool.
His back is so bad. You don't want to lean too hard on him. Cool. So Codpiece Hardliners it is. Cool. Well, I'm going to go get this edited and also get some more stuff edited.
All right.
And also edit some more?
Yeah. So
sounds like a plan.
Cool. Well, take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Night.
Cole.
Yep.
Good night.
Have a good week, guys.
You too. Bye.